We do have a forum, right? So
Yeah, I think Janice and Amy said they were gonna make it, but, oh, no.
Janice said Jesse, no,
Never
but
mind.
Amy, no, Amy.
Amy's not making it.
Technically a bit, no, not a bit.
Okay.
Okay, let's call the meeting to order. Our first meeting today is the Yates County Capital Resource Corporation. Call to order 103. Start with the introduction of guests, and actually, we have any. We do have Steve Meyer online with their speech. Thanks for joining, Steve. Do we need an executive session for this one?
Yes, we do. Discuss company financials.
Okay, and that's for a motion to enter into executive session for that stated purpose.
Three.
Thank you, Sri. Second. motion to enter open session?
So moved.
Marianne, a second. So, thank you. We'll continue on with our agenda, and next up is the approval of our minutes from our March 20th meeting, which were included in the packet. Does anybody have any comments or questions on those? Ask for a motion to approve.
So moved, Steve.
Steve? Second. Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that's carried. I don't think we have any changes in the agenda. Do you have anything for a finance report?
I do not have anything for this set to do.
Then we'll move right on to our action items, and we do have an item for a loan request for the Dundee to VFW.
Yes, the loan review committee has recommended approval to a loan to Goodrich Smith Post number 8649, Veterans of Foreign Wars Incorporated, which is the Dundee VFW located at 125 Seneca Street in Dundee. They're seeking a $63,000 loan from us. It would be a 2-year interest-only term at 6.8% if they sign up for automatic payments, or 7.8% if they don't. Collateral on the loan is a UCC filing. Total project cost is $73,171 to renovate the kitchen and bar area to improve their kitchen efficiencies and make the restaurant area more attractive to increase customer flow for the VFW, which is open to the public year-round. There's 3 current full-time equivalent positions, and those 3 will retain. It does not create any additional jobs.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Ask for a motion to approve.
So moved,
Sri, and a second.
Marianne.
Okay. Any further discussion or questions for Mike on the loan request? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Approved. And we don't have a standing meeting scheduled for this, so we'll convene as necessary. With that, I'd ask for a motion to adjourn. Thank you, Serene. And a second.
Second,
Marianne,
Marianne.
we're adjourned.
He doesn't
He's
need
ready.
it.
Carried away. We shuffle the papers around, and I'd ask, or we'll just call the meeting to order for the Finger Lakes Economic Development Center here at 122. And we have the same guests in attendance. Do we need an executive session for this entity?
I believe so. No.
Alright. Then we'll move right on to the approval of our minutes from our prior meeting on July 17th. Ask for a motion to approve. Marianne, and a second. Steve's from Steve. Does anybody have any questions or suggested changes on the minutes? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's carried. Do we have any changes on this agenda?
I believe so.
Okay. Keeping it straightforward. For a finance report, Doreen, what do you have for us?
I have total of $71,216.34 for bills. Check number 6617 to 6645 and E190 to E195.
Thank you for emailing the check detail report too. We
Yep.
got that at a time.
July, we had a little loss, but I think because that included the first payroll for August in the middle of the week, counted for July made that a little off. And we're ahead of year-to-date, our budget, we're ahead on revenue, a little behind on expenses. Probably change here soon.
Yeah, and year-to-date results are quite strong compared to budget. So it's been moving along very nicely. I noticed that, and I was going to comment earlier, the loan review committee, when convened, is asking some detailed questions and ask for the summary of all the loans to get pulled up in front, and was asking Anybody have any questions for Doreen on the finance report or any of the presented material? Right, I'd ask for a motion to approve the finance report and approve paying no specific checks.
So moved,
Thank you, Sue. Is there a
three.
second?
Second, Steve.
Thanks, Steve. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Carried. And then for the status reports, do you have anything to share, Joanne?
I did get a price from Mike, you can go back and look on that a little bit, and probably get another bid.
Mike is for the flooring.
Marcus, for the lobby flooring. And then, still working on our water leak. Steve was gracious to come a little early today, help us out with that, so hopefully, beginning part of next week, we should be further along, hopefully. And other than that, I don't have anything, if anybody's got any questions.
Water leaks an ongoing
Yeah.
source of pain. We can't find it. So we're taking all sorts of crazy ways to try to, to try to figure out where it is, including letting dogs come and sniff around. But so far, no luck. But
You've noticed on the meter that they're using more water than what it normally should be, so
Yeah.
there's a leak somewhere or something's not right, you can't find it.
Hard to find.
but it's not so large that it's clear.
Obvious where there's
It's a decent sized leak, but it's not like something blowing out of the ground somewhere that we can say, there it is, it's. Thanks, so, yeah, lots of facility stuff going on right now.
So likely some more discussion on those
Yeah.
at the next meeting.
Yep.
Thank you. Mike, did you have anything to update? Sure.
Nothing really, we have the discussion as an action item for the micro enterprise program. So unless there are any questions on the Main Street grant, that took up a lot of time at the end of last month with it due, the 31st, but pretty happy with what we put forward. Ended up asking for more than I originally thought. There's a lot of feedback, a lot of interest from the Dundee community on those grants, so the grant was for $415 as the status report said. So now we wait and see. Hopefully here in the next few weeks we'll get some response back from the state. They're reviewing those and should have some hopefully follow-up questions for us and award at some point this fall.
Yeah, we're currently reviewing, I'm not in that scoring group that sees those grants, but when I know we're all looking at them, so there should be within the next week. They were due yesterday, our scores were anyways yesterday at noon, so I would think within the next week, the different scoring committees will get together, and so probably the next 30 days.
Okay.
Should get through.
Great.
Thanks for all your work.
Yeah, it's great. They're pretty impactful in that community.
Or lengthy applications.
Yeah.
The biggest challenge I found of it was that each question has a character limit. And so I just kind of took the question and started answering, and then I get to the end to review it, and it was 500 characters over, and I'm like, what am I supposed to cut?
Yeah, it's like give your project description in
Yeah.
400 characters.
Right, and I don't think I
That's
was
not a lot of-
overly
not a lot of letters.
long-winded,
Right.
but I
No
really
space and
wasn't much
punctuation.
Right.
Yeah, start using
Short
all the abbreviations and.
Texting.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to do it, and it's nice to have the geographic reach to representing the whole county.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys have been focusing on that, and
We'll get into that a little bit later too. But,
Okay. Steve, do you have anything to highlight?
yeah, I want to add a couple different things. Did have a meeting Monday night, the town of Milo board for the potential annexation of the former McFettridge farm. I think it went well. There were no objections. Everyone was understood. There were some discussions around the village extending water into other locations throughout the town of Milo where it's not currently. For the town to get water, they're kind of, they need the village. The village is the only source right now. So, there's been some discussions. It didn't sound like very productive discussions with the village on how to try to extend it, or where they can extend it. So there's some hope that by allowing this annexation or going along with this annexation, that maybe it'll help further some of those discussions, because even by default, water will get extended up further on 14A, and then maybe, it's a little bit easier maybe to come down Kimball Road, for instance, or, then you could do some infilling there with other housing. So, in all, I think it went pretty well. I think we were only there maybe half hour, 45 minutes. I will also mention, because I think it's worth talking, 3 other quick points. One quick point, I had Finger Lakes Health. I had Kim Malacqua, who's the VP of Community Services, and she's the executive director, I think, of the foundation. Had her come on the open mic program with me that I do every month with WFLR, and kind of just give an overview of what this affiliation with U of R Health does specifically for this community. And I think it went pretty well. I think she did a good job describing the benefits of what that can provide. That was following up the previous month where I had Pete Beckus from Cuca College come on and speak. He's the VP of Marketing, IT, and I think enrollment at Cuca. So 2 big employers, clearly, 2 pretty important drivers for overall economic and community health in the area. So both, I think both of those went pretty well. On the challenging news, if you've seen any of it recently, the DEC did fully revoke Greenwich's air permit because they're doing Bitcoin mining. They say that's not why, but so they supposedly have to completely shut down by like September 9th. September 6th, September 9th, somewhere there, somewhere soon. Greenwich is continuing to fight it. They filed an Article 78 last Thursday to fight it, saying basically, I can forward you actually WFLR did a really good job through Finger Lakes Daily News covering the different standpoints. I can send out the links to it if you want. That basically they're saying DC completely overstepped their grounds. They have no basis for what to do. There's no legal basis whatsoever for them to do this. They're just simply saying, by Greenwich operating, it won't allow the state to meet their climate action plan goals. They're not going to meet them anyways. Like they're not going to remotely come close to meeting them. So this is just silly. And there also, by the way, there's a whole series that you have to go through of formal process with NYPA and the various power authorities to shut a plant down. Greenwich actually tried to shut down for repairs not so long ago, and were turned down by NYPA and NYSEG saying, no, you can't, we need you for reliability and issues. They're running full time. Like the amount of Bitcoin mining they've done has gone down because the amount of power that is needed by the grid has gone up. And that always takes priority. So not only have they been told, no, you can't shut down even for repairs, DEC is like, yeah, but we can't meet our climate action plan, so you gotta shut down, like fully, which is just crazy. And DEC is saying, well, no, through this climate action plan, we have the ability to supersede everything. And they can come in and with this argument they're making, they could realistically shut down anybody. Like there's no, if they're right, if this stands up in court, Greenwich had every permit needed to operate. DEC just said, no, you can't. So, what's them to stop? Kodak, what's them stop Corning Enterprises from just coming and saying, you know what, by you operating, we're not gonna meet our climate plans, you gotta shut down. Yeah. It's crazy.
Hopefully they have a strong legal team to fight it. But I could see DEC saying they're not going to renew their air permit, but to revoke it, like mid-permit.
So maybe I'm using the wrong term. I think it was up for renewal.
Okay.
So let me, I'm not sure which one it is, but, so I shouldn't say that was such a puts confidence here, but.
Either way, it seems.
The conversations we've had prior about it, what's been in the
Deny
news
their
is
air
that they were
permit
denying it.
renewal. Exactly, it's renewal. But, so, Taylor and President Greenwich feels pretty confident in it. They are a massive part of the county's revenue. So, through sales tax, through pilot revenues, if you recall, our pilot is set up in such a way that as Greenwich performs better, they pay an additional pilot amount to the county and such. So, I think the figures bounce anywhere from 6 to 10% of the county's revenue comes from Greenwich. So it's not a small deal that this is gonna impact, let alone the fact, and I kid you not, I've been told, asked by state officials, well, if they do shut down, you know, could you get a data farm, a server farm to go in there? I'm like, what do you think they're doing? They are doing a server farm. It's, you don't like the kind of data that they're processing. But on a much different note.
It's still so confusing to people, I think.
Oh, for sure.
Right, it's too bad there isn't a better way to inform, to get.
If it was just a server farm, if that's all they ever called it, I don't think the same thing would be, it's literally because it's Bitcoin, it scared everybody, because nobody knows what it is. If they just said we're operating a server farm, I don't think farm sounds better than mining. Right, like that's I think some people actually thought there was some digging going on or something.
Well, it
out
does
there,
imply that it's gonna hurt the environment somehow.
Yeah.
I think with mining,
Mhm.
with the term mining, so, or affect
Agreed.
it
Yeah.
somehow.
So we're trying to stay involved in that. And
What
last,
would our, I'm sorry, what would our role be?
advocating for them, trying to talk to different folks that, what are we doing? A lot of it's coming through, I'm trying to leverage the state economic development council to weigh in on this thing. Like this has such far, and I mean, this will really be a game changer either way this goes. If the courts rule in favor of Greenwich, DEC's power just evaporated. If they win, DEC's power just became enormous. No pun intended.
There's a Supreme Court ruling that just was overturned here a couple months ago, maybe Chevron deference it's called.
Yeah.
So it'll open up a lot of litigation possibilities for places that have had regulators choosing how to interpret laws and then doing things exactly like what DEC is, using more power than maybe what they have. And so that was just overturned at the Supreme Court. There's this other case that was overturned, it's called Chevron deference, and so we're expecting to see some of that start to trickle down. People will start suing regulators that have ruled unfavorably. Because there is a little bit soapbox that have it in the banking sector and healthcare, you know, there's different areas where regulators are maybe overstepping a little bit on what the rule is and their interpretation of it and penalizing businesses. Because that plays through the courts. It's good. I bet that'll get referenced in their response to that.
It's, I'll ask them actually and see. So that's Thursday. It's being heard in Yates County. Judge Cook will hear it, so see where that goes. Last part I'll bring up just because and I won't get too far into it, but it's because it's really nothing behind it yet to go with it. But really trying to get a push and work with this, as we discussed last night, Flat Crud. You know, they have 750 clients, and how can we get the chronically underemployed into, you know, a more sustained employment aspect. And I had a couple different conversations. Last one, an hour-long conversation with Tamara Ryan, who's the CEO, I think I mentioned, of the Women's Bean Project out of Denver, Colorado. They're a food processor, food packager, but they specifically hire at-risk, long-term unemployed women. Most of them single moms. Their average age of their employees are in their mid-30s, and the women have never in their life held a job longer than a year. training program happens with them, and then they go out and graduate and get employed elsewhere. And just a couple of the interesting things, I asked her of the things like there's gotta be some factors you can see with, and this is just women, but a lot of the issues when I mention them to you, they impact everybody. Like, where are the big failures? Are there certain things you can see they do sociology, try that again, I'm not gonna get there either. Sociological, sort of exam, and they call them the big six areas that they see the typical big failure, and none of these are gonna surprise you. Transportation, lack of, right, which is one of our primary challenges here. Health issues, housing, but not just the availability, although that's a big one, but it's also that living in a strenuous or stressful household, which I hadn't really thought of. Mental health issues, and a lot of these play off of each other, which one leads to which. Ongoing legal issues and sobriety. So none of those I think were necessarily surprising to me, and you don't have to just be a single mom to experience any of those. But what really kind of surprised me, she said in the employees or the clients that they serve, if a woman only has 3 of the 6, they have a great chance of completing, and more than likely to successfully complete the program. I was like, if they have 3 of those 6 issues battling them, you can get them through. Yeah, 3's, above 3, it gets slightly more challenging. But if they only have 3 of those 6 issues, and having transportation, health, and legal issues.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
Yeah, we can still get you through.
Yeah.
It's really pretty amazing. You see, they're getting put more on national platforms for their success and how they're doing it. And it's full engaged wraparound services. The average cost about $40,000 per employee, but they pay the employees while they go through this program. In reality, it's about $10,000 in the wraparound services per employee. And if you think about it, if we went to a can pack and asked you, is it worth $10,000 to keep one employee full time, like for beyond a year, right? Like, I wouldn't think we'd have a difficult time getting employers to help potentially fund this. They're operating 40, 60, I can't remember which way is which. 60-40 operating funds from the company itself, and then the other half from grant sources or fundraising issues.
What's her last name?
Ryan, R-Y-A-N. Tamara.
Is it familiar to you?
She's really, really
So where did they train these
in their facility.
which is where?
Denver.
And then they
It's
fly
a
around?
9-month program. I think they're taking Denver.
Oh,
City of Denver
Oh.
residents,
Oh,
yeah.
okay, so they don't do it nationally.
No,
Okay.
no. She's on every time they do cohorts of 10 to 12 employees at a time.
Okay.
Put them through, and off they go. But they get the first 30 days of stabilization. So
That makes sense.
it's not, they might do some job shadowing, but almost none of it is on the plant floor. It's learning how to deal with whatever issues are causing, what's the why behind the what, is what she was saying. Why are you having these issues?
So you guys having discussion to replicate that here?
That's what I'm wondering. Oh, wow.
And it's gonna be, I am. We started discussions, we brought it up to FLACRA, we brought it up to Catholic Charities, we wanna reach out to Living Well. I brought it up to QT College because part of this, they use, Master of Social Work, students at the local universities to do some of the one-on-one counseling. They use a lot of volunteers. I think we could find them for individual coaches. So, there is a leader when these instructor, but instead of that person having to teach to the middle, right, so they don't, everyone can then, you know, they can help each person with whatever it is that they're struggling with, so it's a really cool.
Everyone's, there's a person on hand for everyone.
A volunteer.
In depending on what they're doing, so specifically around like, some of the basically just computer skills, but budgeting, finance, they have a finance class.
So they're trained before they go into the job.
They get, basically, I call it life
Yeah, it's a
training.
And that makes total sense because that's what we see in the work that I do. Like with my team, I spend a lot of time doing just that before they even talk business.
Yeah.
You can teach process, you can teach procedures, you can teach computers, but you need to take care of life skills first.
Yep.
Because they bring that into the work. And if you're able to work with them on the life skills, then the person shows value in the job and the relationship building within the job, and then they stay longer term. Because they've seen that the company's looking to improve them as an individual and what they can take home, not only for the employment.
Yeah.
And they're more efficient.
Yeah.
They're more, it's just for us, it's hard, we don't have the funds to build a department like that, but I'm like, this is great, because it's something that I've been looking at.
She was super intrigued by using a number of employers to do what they do. She's like, I haven't seen it done, but she hasn't seen anyone do else what she does either. She's like, I think it can be successful. You know, and it's almost even better because one of the challenges they have is separating the HR from all the other stuff, right? Because so they're in there learning about sobriety issues or legal issues,
Right.
and that
And
HR
then
is
you take
really
the
not
cultural
allowed.
piece of it,
Right.
because the organization itself has its own culture, and then I come from a different culture, and then the United States has a different culture, and it's just a web of all these different things.
So this would be, what I'm envisioning, and, you know, we have some space here, I think we can make it work somewhere. It wouldn't even have to be within FLACRO or Catholic Charity space, but hold the classes here or basement of Lions Bank or something like that, and then when it's done, they graduate to CAMPAC, to Finger Lakes Community Health, and I asked specifically with those employers then also need to have like phase 2 of this program.
You do,
And
yeah.
she's like, they have to know how to work with the employees, but it's nowhere near as in depth. She's like, the companies we send our employees to aren't running anything necessarily any more special than anybody else.
Do they stay in communication with their coach or?
For up to 1 year.
Yeah.
You know. And then they did one study, she said it was really scary, she goes, it was almost impossible to get through. They worked with the Department of Labor and using Social Security, anonymous Social Security numbers, I don't know how that works, but they tracked the actual wages earned by the employees, by the women, 9 months prior to program completion and then 24 months following, and it was a 278% increase in their salaries. 24 months after graduation, which is, you're not getting that if you're not staying employed
Right,
with those places, so.
That's great.
I got pretty excited after talking
Yeah,
about it.
yeah.
There's still a lot
Yeah.
I mean, it's still gonna be a huge lift, but I think we have all of the
Ingredients.
the resources here to pull together. We just need it could be us, and to benefit the employers, maybe it should be us, have a lead to at least get us started and go figure out how much it's gonna cost to get it funded. And she was pretty clear with me, she's like, don't build the full infrastructure first. She's like, you'll never get it launched. Like, get some of the key pieces together and start it, figure out where you need to add more support to.
What's her background, like education, was she?
I don't know, I met her through this leadership cohort I'm on with the American Enterprise Institute. I met her at the conference in DC, and she was telling me about the holy smokes, and just finally.
I'm just wondering that in order for the person here to lead that, they would have some sort of.
She
special
doesn't
training.
necessarily lead.
Oh, she doesn't? She has instructors?
Mhm. She runs the company.
So it really depends, so for me, like, I'm, my small group, I had like five ladies that I had worked with. And it was really, for me, it was led by their needs, right, when I would have their one-on-ones with them and work through what it is that they needed. And then when we get together as a group, we would look at ways, it was time management, it was their finances, it was childcare, it was balancing work and home, it was the culture, the differences, and these were all Latino women that were trying to adjust to the American culture, the culture of the organization, and then the culture of home, and the dynamics between male and female. And so working through all of that pieces, and for me, it was easy for me to relate to them because I went through that with them. So I was able to give them tools and resources that I use. So I wonder if they're, like, for sorority, do they use coaches similar to like AA, where people that can really relate to that, to the work that's done, and really understand what, because you have to understand.
So specialized.
You can't just come in on a high horse and be like, this is the way to do it, right? You have to really understand where the person is coming from and what truly are the challenges that are there, because it is hard to open up and say, this is the things that are happening in my home, but these are the things that are impacting me personally to impact my work, because it's not going to take, it fluidly is not gonna happen. Sure. It's not just gonna take place like that. It's gotta be from experience, it's gotta be from.
To verbalize too, if you don't know that it's a.
Yeah, they may not even see
know
it.
that it's a
They may not
weakness
even know it, exactly. They might not even know that there's, that I call them, so we have the glass ceiling, right? You've heard of that.
Mm-hmm.
So think of that scenario, and then think of glass fences and then glass chains, kind of to where they are associated to you. Like you have, like, growing up, I had glass chains to my family, and then glass fences around the community, and then here, we have the glass ceilings, what we're comfortable, we're familiar with, right? So very similar things, and you just don't see things because you're just, it's part of the way we are built.
She mentioned, and clearly, I'll just leave on two other points, because I could talk all day through this, but, you know, there was this thing she kept saying, I was like, oh, yeah, you know, that makes sense now. Like I mentioned her, you know, I said every employer tells me how conflict resolution, right? Someone will say something and then both of them start screaming and they both quit. And she was like, yeah, it's generally not what was said. It's a trigger that relates back to some other trauma they're either currently experienced or has experienced, and it's a flight. Okay, like I know when I get yelled at home by my parent or my spouse or whatever, it's you know, guards up, I gotta get out. So it's not even necessarily what that person said, and then like, so, and then clearly not every employer is gonna be able to. You can see why a centralized training program would be needed for this, because there's no way, especially the larger the employer, maybe a smaller employer, no way could they give that sort of individual, basically.
And then once you get everyone, you have bigger teams.
Psychological help to these
Yeah,
people.
yeah, and you have to be, you wanna understand the differences and the challenges that everybody has, but you have to follow certain guidelines when you're doing that. And you find that, you know, you're disciplining people, and you're, okay, I can only discipline you 3 times before you're gonna get fired, and you've got the list of issues, and
She talks about that too. Sobriety is not, someone fails, they are a clean environment, they do drug checks and drug testing. If someone fails, it doesn't instantly lead to termination, but it does lead them to a treatment program. And if they continue to fail, then they gotta deal with it. But anyways, just kinda, I'll keep following up on it, because I'm pretty,
Definitely
pretty excited by it.
Good.
Yes.
Sorry, it took a little bit longer than I expected.
Thanks. We'll move on to our action items. It's looks like a discussion about the microenterprise program. Heated up in your.
Yeah, so I kind of gave a pretty high level overview in the status report, if you had a chance to read that, but it's essentially a grant program for startup businesses, very small businesses with a maximum employee per business being 5. Full-time, actually it's not even, it's 5, so it's not even a full-time equivalent calculation, and that 5 includes owners. But it's through Office of Community Renewal, and it would provide $5,000 to $35,000 grants to those startup businesses for operating costs, inventory, procurement of machinery, FF&E, And the really cool thing that I found in the program is that each applicant, in order to receive the funds, has to go through an entrepreneurial assistance or business training program to qualify for the funds. And the cost for that program is reimbursable within the grant as well. It has to be a municipal applicant, so our thought was Yates County. That way it can serve anybody in the county. But what we have discussed is using this program to focus on communities outside of Penn. So focusing on Dundee, Dresden, Branchport, Rushville, Potter, just to help drum up more business throughout the county. So there's a lot going on here in Penn, so focusing outside of Penn benefit the entire county.
Yeah.
There's obviously costs associated with the application and then ongoing administration and management of the program. The admin and management of the program can be, there's funds built into the award to help cover that. So we have to look into what our bylaws are. May have to go out to a request for proposal, RFP, to solicit the assistance with application and or ongoing management. But Harrison Studio, who we've worked with in the past, is that they do this quite frequently for communities across the state. I had a good conversation with Chuck Bell about how the program would look, make sure that we could focus on areas outside of Penn with Yates County being the applicant. Just wanted to kind of put it on the table, see feedback from the board on if that makes sense to focus on other areas or how we want to proceed with it.
I like the idea of focusing on other areas. I wonder if instead of excluding Penn Yan, maybe you just sweeten the pot. You know, they're eligible for more of a grant or a higher percentage grant if you're outside of the village to incentivize the outer line without excluding in particular. But if there ends up being, this would be something that a separate conversation, but you get grant funds here, and there'd be some need for some loan funds, I'm sure.
Right.
Something from the bank standpoint would be interested in helping with. If there were $50,000 projects and you get a $25,000 grant, and you need a $25,000 loan for you, we have loan funds here too that could get coupled with it. But if you wanted to leverage those to go further, I'm sure we could do something.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. And that was some of the thought process behind this program, and would help drum up some more loan activity for us. Having support on local bank is great as well. We take a fair amount of calls. It's been a little while, but I have a list in our CRM of businesses looking for grant support just to help start out. And for a while, we just kind of had it pushing towards our loan program. And, it's not always the easiest route, or they're not needing a $30,000 to $50,000 or $100,000 loan for their project. They're looking for $5,000 to $10,000. This fits in an underserved area that I've seen from at least the conversations I've been having.
You know, if you couple it with some kind of a business plan writing course, or a series of seminars, 2 to 3, 4 sessions, and at the end of it you could then apply for this, that would be a way to help
It's a
flush.
little bit along the lines of the FLEDC or the training
Yeah.
to even get the funds.
SCORE would help do that, or SBC has those templates already in the coursework.
It seems like it would be difficult to promote it in Yates County and then eliminate Penn Yan.
Could
How would
allocate certain funds, a maximum of 20% to Penn Yan, and something along those lines.
Yeah, where there's scoring criteria for each grant, so just giving 5 extra, 10 extra points, whatever that breakdown is for communities outside of it. So it just scores a little bit better, so that projects outside receive precedent but not eliminate Penn Yan from applying. And it also then just depend on the amount of funds that we are awarded. So it's up to $300,000 for the municipality. If the full $300,000 may not be enough projects, good conversations with Harrison Studios, they did say the OCR loves to see these programs out, rolled out, and then those municipalities continue to reapply. So if it's a successful round one, then you score really well round two, you do it again, and then it almost becomes a, you just kind of put in your application and then just refund the program. So
If
you
you
can
don't
going.
use it, do you lose it, type of thing.
I have to look into that a little bit further. I'm sure there's some sort of term within the original grant award, so we would look to see, okay, how many projects do we think we have? Don't apply for too much so that it's just sitting there. It is a pretty tight, the parameters are pretty tight for who can use it on small businesses. It's pretty small, so we wanna make sure we are utilizing all the funds.
Great.
No, I like it, yep.
I'll continue exploring it, and, if we have to go out to RFP, then we'll review those once it goes out.
Yeah.
The application period, it's fairly simple, and it's not a huge expense. Move forward, run with it.
Recover some of that to offset expense here to do it too.
Do you need some
That's it?
board action?
Nope,
Or
just discussion, yep.
Nope, that's good.
There's gonna be a public hearing requirement, part of it, that'll be run through the county if that's who there'll be an agreement set up with the county where they're the applicant and then we're a subrecipient to manage the program.
Okay.
And we'll we likely just utilize our loan review committee to review applications and
Figure that detail out.
All right, one thing I wanted to comment on at the meeting yesterday morning, the bank, we have advisory boards in our different community offices, so there were 8 of them throughout the bank, and our board of directors and some of the management team came together and headed at FLCC and had MRB group come in and give a presentation on local government challenges and barriers to development, and did a nice, there was a 2.5-hour presentation from them, and then there was a wine industry panel that talked to like 4 or 5 hour block. But there isn't, bringing it up here, and at the risk of being too nice to Steve, but Matt Horn gave the presentation, and he had statistics for the 9 or 11 county Finger Lakes region. I guess they had a pretty big region, but had a lot to say, a lot of compliments for Gates County and Penn Yan in particular, and mentioned more than a couple times the efforts of the EDC and the team here and Steve's, by name, on bringing in manufacturing jobs and working on housing and some of these things outside the box from what traditional economic development is, but to get through some barriers and to foster an environment for economic development. So that was kind of fun to sit there and
Nothing you do not already know.
a little bit proud of that. I wanted to make sure you knew that. That was certainly nice to see. The last slide, the last slide, last slide of the presentation was the DRI check here in Penn Yan.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that was kind of cool. Keep up the good work. So.
No standing ovation.
Yeah. So our next scheduled meeting is the 3rd Wednesday in September. It's the 18th, and then we'll be back to the morning schedule. You hear that, Steve? No.
He's sleeping. He's out. He's gone.
Yep, the 18th at 8:30, and yeah, I'd ask for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, first and seconded, we are adjourned. Thank you, guys.
That's good.